Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of MasterClass of Chef Ivan Chan podcast. Today, I'll be interviewing one of my good friends, and I guess pretty much everybody know him by his ramen noodle with CODA, water and bone, and all those adventure he have, and of course, started one of the top 100 restaurant in the country, and now he's living the dream. He's living the dream teaching in NSCC. So without further ado, that's my good friend, Chef Jamie MacAulay. Hey Jamie, what's up?
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Just pretty much doing another fun night and talking to friends like I have been doing. So
Yep.
we always start with the drinks. So I'm gonna start first today because
Sure.
mine is gonna take some time. So getting really serious tonight. Pretty much drinking my favorite red wine from Luckett, having a bottle of Old Bill. So I'm gonna pop the bottle now, and I haven't used this for years. I had
How
this
many
this old thing for years, and I don't even know if I'm gonna able to use it. But
how
usually in the
many bottles do
restaurant,
you have left?
huh?
How many bottles do you have left?
Well, it's a special night. I put aside a dozen because when Luckett first do it and it got so popular, right? Like the whole city was going crazy. I had people come and say, "Oh my God, like you know Luckett so well. Like we couldn't find anything at NSLC." So the first person asked me, I pretty much like called Duck right away. I said, "Duck, like how many do you have?" So that was nice to me. We always great, and Gina's great for me. And then Doug pretty much called. I think there was a bunch of Bishop.
Hmm.
Then I then I say, well, you know what? Just tell Bishop to send everything to me the next day. So I pretty much took everything, whatever that batch they have, and I put away 12 bottle that I won't touch, and because you know how red wine is, and I love this.
Yeah.
No, and
I
you
hear
know,
it gets better with age.
pardon.
I hear it gets better with age.
Uh huh. Well, talking
Like
about
us.
us, so what?
Yeah. One of us.
Yeah, you may be, man. I'm
Not
like the
me.
worst right now. So
Even
what
the
are you
Mona
drinking,
Lisa's
brother?
falling apart. No, I don't really have many drinks like in the evening, the weekdays. Um, I grab a couple stilly pills to have with you.
Good stuff,
Yeah.
man. I love this red wine. I have been an advocate of Nova Scotian red for so long. I mean, I went to the first gold medal plate with a red wine, and I get dinged for it. Right? I have judges tell me like, Chef, if you show up with a Riesling or something, you would have done a lot better. Like you were so close.
Yeah.
It's like, but
It's a tough
dude,
grape to grow here in Nova Scotia.
I was just trying to tell them. I was trying to show them Chinese food work with bread. That was my whole
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
But they ding me for it, right? So, oh well, that's another story for another day.
Yeah.
It's about you today, but
My motto is you can pair and drink whatever you want as long as it tastes good to you and makes you happy.
that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about Jamie's story. So, I know it's gonna be a lot of little details. So, thanks for joining me
Love
tonight,
it.
brother.
Yeah.
And
Cheers.
it's your turn to tell everybody how you started.
Where I started, how I started.
Hmm.
I worked with you. That's not where I
Pardon?
started though. I worked with you for a little while, but that's not where I
Wow,
started.
that was the later stage now at a learning kitchen. No,
Yeah.
that was wrong. I know you're gonna say it. I worked for you when you were
You,
taking a vacation.
yeah,
I
you
never
allowed
really
me to take
worked with
vacation.
you. So
That's right. Yeah.
we know each other's when Jamie was in the learning kitchen and he wanted to take a vacation. So somehow, some way, I get asked, and I was actually between jobs.
Yeah, I think it was through
And
Mike Sylvester.
yeah, because Mike was working with my wife at Dalhousie then,
Yeah.
and he aware of I was between jobs and might
Yeah.
ask my wife to ask me, hey, would Ivan have time? And sure, why not? That's how we met.
Yeah. Mike's a good guy. Like Mike.
Yeah. I don't think he's cooking anymore though.
No, I don't think he did after Dalhousie. I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a few years. We did
Okay.
one event together for Feed Nova Scotia. It was
Okay.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I'll tell you that few weeks in the kitchen have so much memories. And I can tell you guys, working with Chef Jamie is like an experience before you even start cooking. I have not worked with anyone as organized as him. He's everything so organized to the T is scary.
I had a lot of time on my hands there. A
Well,
lot of
hey,
extra time to
that
organize.
tells me something right off the bat how good you are, right? I mean, because you care. Everything was so organized, and I was like, and the place was a mess because you have to, like, what, 2 hours every morning to decide what we have to cook every morning, was it?
Yeah, it's kind of like a black box every day for 6,000 people. No, 3,000, 4,000 people a week. I
3,000
can't
something?
remember the numbers anymore, but it was a lot of people a week. And then you just cooked from whatever showed up on a pallet from Feed Nova Scotia, whatever was donated. So it's like, okay, this is what we're having. This is what we're making. So it was a black box every day.
It was crazy. It
Sometimes
was
it was
really
just parchment
crazy.
paper and beans was the only thing donated one time. Just a pallet of parchment paper and a pallet of beans.
I'm not a tall guy, but I never seen a stack of parchment papers that
I know it
taller
was
than me.
crazy.
And then the meat in the freezer. I walk into that freezer. I was like, whoa,
Well, that's
look
so it
at
was
those stuff.
survival. That was survival.
Yeah,
So when you got donated lots of meat, you had to you had to ration it. Otherwise, when you got pallets of beans and parchment paper, you had to have something to cook with. Otherwise, people can't go hungry. You have to feed them. So when nothing's donated, you have to still be able to get through those famines, donation famines, and feed people. So the meals don't stop. So that's when it came down to being organized. That's why I had to be so organized because those meals had to go out. People had to eat. So whether food's donated or not, what shows up. So it's feast or famine. Sometimes you would get donations of some incredible food. We worked with some people doing
but it's crazy
Hunters for the
though. Every
Hungry. So we got
morning
like
when that
wild
truck pulled
venison.
in,
Yeah.
what you have to deal with was insane.
Yeah. So you turn into a lot of processing. It's a lot of making use of what you had on hand. So, we would get donated powdered milk from Agupure. So we would, and it might be dried powdered product, but it still has a shelf life. So we have to use it efficiently. So we would make
It
bechamel,
was
yeah, and just have it on hand and vacuum sealed
yeah, it
stacks in
was
the
crazy.
freezer.
It was definitely crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, after learning kitchen, you went to a few places, and then you end up starting being an expert in ramen. And I did not see that coming at all. Can you
Yeah.
tell everybody why rye ramen?
It started like ramen's always been something that I enjoyed eating. So there's a few places in the early 2000s that I enjoyed eating at in Vancouver, but it wasn't anything big at that time. This is pre Momofuku, and Dennis Johnson at Fids is a really good friend of mine, and he's a really great mentor and somebody that I worked with for years and worked on and off when I would come home from BC. And I came home once and I was just like, you know, have you ever made ramen? Like, do you make ramen from scratch? And like, he had already been through this process with Yoshi next door at Suzuki Sushi owns Tokyo Roll now.
Mm-hmm.
So Yoshi would just be the two restaurants are basically joined together, and Yoshi would be outside, and he's complaining like, there's no fucking noodles in this city. Like, what's going? It's all right to swear, right? This is 9 o'clock at night.
That's all right. It actually, I actually choose this not for kids, so
Yeah,
you never know how I'll slip. Hey, we're chef. What do we expect, right?
so he's complaining there's no noodles in the city, so they got to work on making noodles and ramen, and Suzuki-san, Yoshi's dad, would taste the broth and the tare and the noodles and tell them, this is right and this is wrong and what to fix and what to work on. So then in rolls this lanky ginger that wants to make ramen too, and then it just sparked. So then we just started rolling on it, and that's where it started there. And then we were hand cranking the noodles and cutting by hand and rolling by hand, and so it was a pretty good introduction to it. Sort of that kodawari, that hand crafted ramen style, not
Okay.
just ramen for the sake of ramen. I think that was 2007.
Okay.
Yeah, so pretty early on. That's still around the Momofuku days, I think, right around when it sort of ramen started to catch fire, I guess, in North America. Because in Japan, obviously, it's what it is.
Yeah, it's part of
It's the
culture
biggest thing.
anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's how it started, making ramen, and then it was, we scraped together a few bucks to open a restaurant, and we were wondering like, what to make, and what do you make when you don't have a lot of money to open a restaurant? Like, you're not gonna do.
5 ingredients, but do it right
Yeah,
is another thing.
exactly. So let's do something simple, and I was like, I love making ramen. Let's like lean into it, and then at home, just I leaned right into it and just started practicing and really honing it in. So,
Hmm.
because it takes years, to find a spot,
Yeah.
to dial it in, to, especially when you're working with a small budget, you just don't walk down the street and be like, I'm going to open a restaurant. Well, some people do. Downtown Halifax, it opened
I don't know,
a
man. It
restaurant.
seems like what people do in these days. You have so little restaurant popped up. It's like,
Yeah.
what are you guys
Well,
thinking?
we had $60,000 and just a lot of tenacity.
Hmm.
So it was like, yeah, we'll just open lean into the ramen. It took a year, so it was a lot of time for me to R&D,
Hmm.
and to really work on it. Which, as you know, once you get into, though, you can cook those things and you can fine tune them and you can R&D them and research them at home, and you can do one or two batches, and especially ramen is not something that you make in small batches. Ramen's meant to be made in massive batches.
Yeah.
Ramen's not like, contrary to popular belief, is not just a thing you make at home,
Nope.
because it takes days to make properly. You make massive batches of soup. Nobody makes 4 liters of tonkatsu broth. You're
Mm.
not boiling pork bones for 19 hours for
Yeah,
four
to
liters.
have 4 liters. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's once we got into the restaurant and I started scaling up, and we're immediately now, because we're working with a small budget, it's like we have to start generating revenue immediately. So it's throw some paint on the walls and let's get butts in seats, because we have to start making money and paying ourselves. So then it's a lot of learning on the fly after that, scaling up recipes, making massive mistakes, just timing, noodle cook, portioning, not to mention the in and outs of running a restaurant on a daily basis, accounting, doing everything, hiring, HR, all that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of work.
Generally, people doesn't recognize how difficult it is to make ramen correctly. I mean, people all knows like there is ramen that they can buy. I mean, there's whatever your box store like supplier, but making it real is a totally level because you need to worry about your flour. You have to use wheat flour,
Yeah,
and then the hydration level over or under 35%. And
yeah,
then you have to worry about algae that you're hitting there, that 1% of 1% is really, really technical, guys. If you have
yeah,
not really learned or heard how ramens really need to get done correctly, you're wrong. It's not like one of those things like that's the instant thing, pop in the water and then yes, I have
Humidity's a
this.
bitch.
It is, and like we were just talking earlier, just to kind of show you like the amount, like do you smell it, like that do you
Yeah,
taste it, and how translucent the noodle, just because after you do it, you set in room temperature or not, it's gonna
yeah,
really affect the result and the texture and the appearance of the noodle, and it's so need to be precise to do it right, and that's why, trust me, but I was pretty shocked when I heard you
well,
into ramen because I guess I'm the worst enemy for that as an Asian who grew up in Hong Kong because I experienced all those things, and I know it's not easy, right?
yeah, yeah.
And trust me, his first restaurant, Water and Bone, I did not even made it there once. I was busy building my own, but I was okay. I'll tell you now, Jamie. I was a little nervous because I would never lie to you.
Yeah.
Um, but your first one, I was like, it's not yours completely anyway. A lot of people doesn't realize that. Most people think it's completely yours, but it wasn't completely yours. And so I was like, no, I'm not gonna go in there and be a jack off about it because if I don't like it, I'm gonna tell Jamie until CODA. Until CODA, I was like,
Yeah, you can.
all right, this is his now. I brought Virginia with me, my wife, my sister. Yeah, let's go try it now.
Yeah.
And I have to apologize. It took me that long, but it was good, man. It was
Well,
good,
it's better.
man.
It's better you came in at that point because you know what it's like when you're a chef. So you don't you hate everything you do. So
You do.
I appreciate you coming in later in
Okay.
the experience when I feel
So
like
I
I
made
have
a right
things a little
decision, my
bit.
friend.
Well, when I feel like I have things a little bit more, because I look back
Control.
on some of my early bowls and I'm just like,
Hmm.
ugh, like I hate them. Like I'm sure they're not bad, like they're, but I hate them. Like I can't stand. Jonathan showed me some pictures. It just they were back from I think maybe the first year Water and Bone that he took, and they just came up I think on his Facebook memories or something. And I was like, oh my god, that bowl! Like I hate it. But it doesn't look. It barely looks any different from most bowls. But I could see the little things in it that I didn't like. The cut on your green onion's not thin enough, or something
But
like that.
that's one thing about Chef Jamie McCauley. He is so precise and on point on every little thing. If any of his student is watching right now, I can tell you right now, you guys are lucky as hell because you have a teacher would not settle for teach you anything less than what he believes in is the best. Like I'm not saying it to you, Jamie. Like working for you, with you a little bit, and
Thanks.
I know how you are, and as a friend, like tremendous respect, and I've been there. Like there's days that you turn
Yeah.
around and say, yeah, whatever, like they're not gonna know, right? But you're not. Like, that's something that you
Well,
really gotta struggle with.
we all do that to a degree. There's always the percentage of what you envision in your head, and then how it translates to the plate. You know, it has to go through so many filters because you can't
Yep.
translate from your head onto the plate. And the filters are even your own skill and abilities, your skills and ability to train and teach the people that work with you, their skills and abilities to do it, a team to come together and everything to serve it. So, you know, trying to have that expectation of like that it's gonna meet what you envision. Like it'll kill you. You can't ever do it. You have to have some limits and be able to know like, okay, this is what we're gonna strive for, but we're not gonna achieve anything close to like quote unquote perfection or what you consider to be perfection. Not through
Okay.
so many filters, but
Not to cut you off, Jamie, but Bob from Mountain Subaru, he's a general manager there. He's a big foodie. We'll be doing an episode with him, but this is the question he just asked. How do you get past the fact that you look at the dish and didn't like it?
Well, I was probably happy with it at the time. I wouldn't have served it if I wasn't happy with it at the time. It's now. Once you progress, through a few years and a few iterations, sometimes it's the same dish, right? Like you're cooking the same dish over and over and over. Eric Ripert has this great quote where he had this, I think it was an oyster dish that 9 years in the making, and he was like, finally, I feel like at Le Bernardin, he's like, finally, I feel like it's ready, it's there, like it's what I envisioned after
Yeah.
9 years of working on it. So some of those dishes I've seen through subtle changes throughout the years, whether it's noodle thickness, cook time, the broth, emulsification, even the cuts and the toppings and the so you see those subtle things. So I was happy
Precise.
serving it the first one, yeah, but then I much prefer the one 5 years later. That's the one that I would love to consistently serve. And then 5 years after that, I'm sure I would hate that one.
It's I think it's a vicious cycle for us, right? I get like
Oh, we're sadists. We hate
yeah, like
ourselves.
it's a lot of time I can struggle in my kitchen, just like, oh my god, like I get I'm a big wrestling fan, so I'm going to use a wrestling term. Like I get my
Please.
Gordon Ramsay persona on me, and then and then Virginia will be like, why do you care? 90% of your customers do not even recognize the difference, and I will get really angry because I'll look at her and say, you know what? I know the difference. I don't care what they know, right?
Yeah.
It, it's not to anybody but to myself. I get like that all the time, and I swear, like they are not gonna know difference, but to me, it's like I don't know, just being stubborn, and you're right. Like we are the worst enemy for ourselves. Like people like you and me, it just
Yeah, you're your own worst critic.
it
Did
is. But
did you just say you're a wrestling fan? I didn't
yes,
know
I
that
am.
about you. Really? We could turn this into a wrestling podcast in a heartbeat if you want to.
What I want to talk about. Let's grow.
Just start with your favorite wrestler. Way
Oh,
old school. No, nobody.
who? It has to be Bret Hart.
Yeah, that's good. I like
I,
Bret Hart.
I I mean, like
Oh, Ric Flair. I like Ric Flair.
I
Ricky Steamboat was my favorite when I was a kid. He was
I
my
don't know. Ric Flair was good, but man, I cannot stand his daughter right now, man.
his daughter.
Yeah, Charlotte is
Which,
actually wrestling right now. His daughter is wrestling right now, and
oh, really?
she drive
I
me
don't watch it.
crazy.
I don't watch the
So
modern
I
stuff.
still I still follow my wrestling every week, man. So
There's
so so
lots. There's lots of great like local wrestling stuff that I want to head out
see,
to
I
and
never
check out.
been to one of them. Like I really been to any of them. Next time you go, let me know because I would like to
Yeah,
really
I went
like
to one. I went to the Spryfield Arena. I went to a
mhm,
Quebec wrestling league that came down. It was
mhm.
yeah, it was the best $5 I spent.
Okay, let's talk about wrestling memories.
All right,
Remember when WCW was fighting WWF back in the days?
WWF. Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and then when Bret Hart went to WCW, I used to have a buddy in Toronto that
yeah.
he actually know Tess and Christian, those guys really well. He used to be a bouncer for them.
Okay.
So there is a WCW show that it was in Toronto. I went down there, sit on the third row. I,
Oh, shit. Yeah.
but I don't know if you remember when Goldberg was all of a crazy thing going on. It was in Air
Yeah.
Canada Center. Bret Hart show up and Goldberg spear Bret Hart, but Bret Hart have a steel plate on his waist.
Oh yeah.
I
That he
was right
hid in
there.
his. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Oh, that's amazing.
yeah. After the show, I was actually hanging out with them.
That's wicked.
Yeah, like we were at a bar. Me, well, Bubba was there. Was my buddy. Like he hooked me up with everything, and we were with like I was getting really drunk with Perry Saturn. Um, Kevin Nash was there. Stevie Ray. Who else?
Wow.
Ric Flair's son was there. The late David Flair was there. Rey
Yeah.
Mysterio.
Oh
Stone
my
Cold was
God.
there, but he's the same thing. He just sitting in the bar and just keep popping beer. Like he's the same
Yeah.
way in real life. But no, I had quite a bit
That's
of real
amazing.
wrestling experience when I was younger. But no, this it's not about me today. All right. But
That's
anyway,
fun. That was a
yeah,
fun sidetrack, though.
yeah, and but anyway, there's one thing I wrote down that I want you to tell our audience how important. Maybe a little quick courses about ramen noodle because people doesn't really understand how complicated that 5 ingredients, all those hydration level and all those stuff. If you can spend a few minutes and because I
Yeah,
know a
yeah.
lot of people would like to know how difficult it is to pretty much get into the craft of making the real slurping culture.
It's like it's such a massive rabbit hole. I'm so lucky. The ramen community is like it's so tight and it's so good, and it's like the North American ramen community. Like obviously in Japanese culture, it's very tight-lipped and they're very hold things close to the chest. North America in the ramen culture where nobody kind of knew how to make kodawari ramen. So there's a group of guys that just started sharing everything that they could, but learning about ramen. Keizo Shimamoto, Mike Satinover, my friend Alex Park.
Mm.
And I met all these guys online just through, the Mike and Keizo had blogs that you would follow because that was the first sort of sharing. And then they moved heavy into Reddit. Mike is sort of the king of the ramen Reddit subreddit on ramen. Andre the Giant, nice, James. So just learning the style of noodle you want to make first is you have to stick with one thing and make something like, so noodles are different for different types of ramen. It's as complex and as diverse as pasta shapes. Um, and it's the style of noodle you want to make, whether it's thick or thin, if it's bouncy and springy, chewy or tender. Um, there's a lot to it. Even just the style of noodle is complex in its own.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then after that, it's choosing your flour. Um, Obviously, a high protein flour is what you want. High protein wheat flour. Um, it's difficult too. So, it's not a lot of people know this, but not all bags of flour are the same. They're all completely different. So,
Protein level.
yeah, the protein level is a massive thing. So,
Sorry.
you know, like I'm in the aisle at the wholesale club at the cash and carry reading bags of flour, the bread flour, trying to find what the highest protein levels.
Which I've seen you so many times.
Yeah. So it starts with that, and then to add more, uh, building the noodle itself isn't just kensui is an important part to it. That's the alkali agent for, uh, and it's such a massive
Mm.
background to even the noodle itself, and ramen noodles come from China, and they're
Thank
originally
you.
made. Well, it's a Chinese dish through and
Yeah.
through, and the
They
Japanese have
actually
adopted
steal it from us,
it. Yeah,
technically.
yeah. And well, the Japanese already had their name for noodle too, but the
Yeah.
ramen name comes from the Chinese name for noodle, which is
Yep.
funny too. That
Yep.
they have two. They now have adopted the Chinese name for noodle and have two names
Yeah.
for noodle. But in Japan, is referred to as soba more than
See,
ramen.
I was right about him. He's pro science.
But so like I don't know what parts of China like the highest alkali springs where the water would come from. So making the noodles from those springs is that's how you develop these. What you would say would be noodles that you would put into a broth
Yeah.
because having a high alkali was going to repel any moisture, so that they're going to retain structure and springiness and
Of the gluten.
yeah, that's right. So they won't absorb all the broth and turn.
Hmm.
So that's originally where it comes from. So kensui is that alkali agent, and it's typically made up of some sort of alkali carbonate, like uh, sodium carbonate.
Sodium
It's the
carbonate.
most
Yep.
popular. Yeah,
Yep.
potassium carbonate. And it gets even more complex from there, depending on the size of the noodles. There's different
Mm.
percentages you're going to want to do for one or the other. sodium carbonate versus potassium carbonate. And that all depends on your cook time, which is the size of your noodle.
And then
Yada
and
yada
then
yada.
people are gonna start scratching their head when it's like, okay, look at the size of the air pockets, all those little
Yeah,
stuff,
well,
right?
that's the massive is removing
Yeah.
the air, resting the
Yep.
noodle, and hydrating the noodle too. So
Yep.
it's typically a very low hydration.
Yep.
It passes very similar. It's close to a anywhere between a 28 to a 40% hydration. I've never done 40. The highest I do is probably 36. I try and aim
That's
for a
still pretty good.
30, 32.
30 is gonna be rough, man.
Yeah. Oh, it's dry. It's just
Yeah,
crumbled.
yeah, yeah. Like 30 is gonna be so rough. Like,
There's some ways if you use a vacuum sealer, you remove all the air. If you really allow the dough to hydrate, like 24 hours to, you don't have to go that long. That's a bit of a stretch, but if you really allow those granules of wheat protein to hydrate and absorb the water, you're going to have a lot easier time rolling out a drier dough. So it just takes more time to rest and to roll it. Yeah, so water, kensui, uh, flour, that's it. And we add a little extra gluten, salt for seasoning,
salt.
and that's it. And then in ramen noodles, then spread out from there, there's some that add, egg
Egg
white,
whites. Yeah.
egg powdered, yeah, extra riboflavin. Barry, shout out to Barry with the riboflavin. Extra, that'll give it that yellow color. And again, some bags of flour are different than others. Sometimes the percentage of riboflavin, like in the enriched flour, bread flour can be higher, and your noodles will be a different color. Yeah, so it comes down to a lot of science, and then you start precisely measuring these things down to a percentage of a gram, and then
Hmm.
you get into the temperature change and the humidity changes, and that can add a lot of extra humidity to a dough, especially if you're storing flour and not in a very humid place, and it's absorbing all that humidity from the air. It's going to change your whole recipe greatly. Like I've thrown out hundreds and hundreds of portions of noodles just in the bin and started over.
I remember you told me that, like how much you threw out. I was like, oh my god,
Yeah,
like
just because it
crazy.
went the weather changed and it was
Yep.
very humid, and all of a sudden,
Just some moisture in the air, like nothing you can do sometimes,
yeah,
right? It just to do it right, like it could be a sudden change, like especially in Nova Scotia, it changed so dramatically sometimes, and
yeah.
you just hard to really control it, and that's why when you were getting to ramen, I was like, oh my god, what are you getting yourself into, baby?
Well, and I had the specific idea of a noodle that I wanted to do, and and if anyone is going down that rabbit hole, and I suggest that's what you do. You just get obsessive about like what you specifically want and you enjoy, because there's so much. So drive yourself crazy trying to do the varieties. So what do you like and what do you want to do? So mine was I just wanted a Hakata style straight.
Hmm.
I prefer a fresher noodle,
Yep.
so that when it hits the water, it bangs, puffs
I
up, it
like I
goes
like them
very
bouncy
white.
myself, right?
Yeah,
Like I want to have a good solid texture because
yeah,
it's better on the slurping, and a lot of people doesn't realize. Oh wow, this is a different culture. Like slurping
yeah,
is a big deal in Japan because like when we were a kid in Hong Kong, like when we start ramen coming to Hong Kong when I was a young age, and they was like, hey, you know what? You go into a noodle place, make it as loud as you can,
yeah,
and it was a British colony, so I was brought up like table manners and a whole 9 yards. It's like, the heck, you guys want me to eat noodles loud? But but then they said, okay, this is actual respect to the chef too, right? A lot of
yeah,
people realize the slurping process actually help cool down the noodle too. Like it's actually a technical thing when you serve the noodle. Also, a lot of people doesn't realize. But when I first heard it when I was a kid, it's like, what the heck they want me to do, man? Like grew up in British school my whole life, and it's like, you want me to be loud when I'm eating? Like just different
yeah,
culture. It's crazy if you look at mind boggling and how much people react to stuff like that. And when you go to a ramen place, I remember last time I was in Japan, and you cannot bear hear anything. because all you hear is slurping
Yeah,
in the
slurping.
plate. Yeah, it's
There's
all you hear.
the greatest food movie ever made, um, Tampopo. And it's the greatest food movie on food and culture. It's not even just about ramen. Like at its heart, the main
Temple.
story is about ramen, but it's
Hmm.
it's about so much more. And there's, it's almost like the Pulp Fiction of food movies. There's a lot of little stories that come together in the end to create this big story. And there's one scene in particular where it's like an etiquette course, and it's these young Japanese girls, and they're being taught etiquette, and they're given plates of spaghetti, and they're being taught how to use the fork and to spin the spaghetti onto the fork. And then they're in an Italian restaurant, and there's a large Italian gentleman, and he's just slurping the spaghetti. So then they all just naturally start slurping the spaghetti, and the girl teaching the etiquette course is just horrified because the spaghetti sauce is going everywhere, and they're. But it's like, yeah, it's just it's a great movie if anyone hasn't seen it.
Well, I have to say, like everyone listen or watching right now or even later should know how Jamie is because he took up a challenge that myself as a friend thought he was crazy. Because I know how he is, and to perfect ramen was a hell waited to happen. and,
It's not.
and then,
It's definitely not perfected.
well, I
Yeah,
tell you, but the whole thing is, what is perfection? Right? There's
yeah,
no such thing as perfection. You mentioned yourself is gonna be your style, like how
yeah,
you like your ramen. I mean, most customer come in my place like chef, like this. I say, you know what? Don't look at my food and compare to anyone else. All my food, every single plate have their own identity,
yeah,
flavor, texture, profile, represent me, not anyone
yeah.
else.
I like that. Yeah,
and and that's why I get mad when the food is not what I want it to be, because something represented me that I think I could do done better, and that's what the anger is coming from to me, right? And
yeah,
and and I don't know. Like most people seems to think like, I mean, most people know Virginia is away, and I can tell you right now, every friends that come through the restaurant in the past month and a half, knowing that my wife is in the kitchen right now,
yeah,
oh, Sandra, I feel bad for you working with him in the kitchen. They're not saying me. Everyone feel bad for her, putting up with me in the kitchen. But I don't know, somehow chef have that kind of freaking image. Like they thought I have a divorce waiting to freaking happen or something. You know? But you know
yeah.
what
Well, I'm
though?
a different person. Not having my own business is, it's that's a difficult thing. It's a lot of weight to carry.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the food going out. There's so much, and there's so much that you deal with on a day to day. That's a lot of input that you have from a lot of different places. Um, and there's no escaping it.
No.
There's
It's
there's
part of
no
it.
day off from that. Yeah, and then you wear that stuff, and it becomes you. It becomes your identity. So it's challenging to deal with, especially criticism that's not constructive when it's just straight out almost like hurtful to be hurtful.
I'll tell you right now, I would love to able to do this when I'm at work, when I listen to people, so I can help me tune the hell out, right? I mean, I get criticized so much, and people need to. I have people come in and tell me I don't cook Chinese food.
Yeah,
It's like, what is Chinese food? Chicken balls? Or Bob, those fried rice which is black? Bob's
yeah,
probably punching the screen now, but I kind of like really goes down on him. Like he was posting some fried rice with dark sauce the other day. I did rip him a big one.
who's
But
Bob? Is it?
Bob is the GM of Mountain Subaru,
Uh,
Jaguar, and Land Rover. He's a busy man, but he is really into cooking, and
yeah,
he
nice.
have been talking to me quite a bit, and
Keep
I've
at it,
been
Bob.
Yeah, but yeah, keep it up, Bob. See, and and he no, it's so funny. I've been pretty much talk to him like at least once a week on a phone calls, and that's what he's
Nice.
planning. I said, Bob, this is how you do it, right? I He did pork belly last night. I
Yeah.
I I spent some time on the phone. I said, Bob, this is how I do pork belly. And we do a review after. Like I talked to him on the phone today for like 20 minutes to say, okay, how do you feel? The funny is, hey, I'm proud, Bob. His wife used to won't eat his pork belly that he make. But
Yeah.
after the technique being changed, he
No,
told me
she.
his wife will eat it now.
Yeah. It's all in the technique, Bob. It's
Yeah.
not the recipe. It's the technique.
Yeah, it's the flavor is the last thing. It's how you digest everything and how you output everything with the skill you have to
Yeah.
to hit that target that you want. A lot of people doesn't realize that. And I the first thing I told him when he said he want to learn, Jamie, I don't know, like tell me if I'm wrong. I said drop the freaking recipe. I
Yeah.
said stop reading the damn book and
Yeah.
just go with your guts and keep trying. That's how you train yourself to have that brain.
Yeah.
It's just like how we were in learning kitchen. My
Yeah.
God, talk about black box every single day,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You
Man,
can't. You have to know the method. You can't. You can't even execute a recipe if you don't understand the method. So if you don't know how to do the execute it, then there's no point in having a recipe.
it's no point. I mean, you imagine that truckload of stuff show up. You don't know what is in there, and you have an hour and a half to figure out what to feed 3,000 people that day.
Yeah.
Like it's a hell of a freaking experience. Wow, it's really full of resources like the frozen. Like we were grinding tenderloin, making shepherd pie.
Don't
Remember
tell
that?
anyone. Don't tell anyone that.
Oh shit! Did I?
Yeah.
Well, but
Well,
people still
yeah, you have to
complain. I
make
said,
that meat go. You had to make it go far.
yeah, like there is days that we have to make shepherd pie, and then that's nothing, and we have to grind freaking tenderloin for it. Right?
Yeah. We have to feed that many people,
You don't
and
have
they're all
choice.
hungry.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's a
and
shame. I don't know how they get fed now. There's. Yeah. Well,
you know
that's a whole
what
other
though,
story.
Jamie? That is one of my dream. That one day I hope that kind of program come back,
Yeah.
and I want to do it again because it's helping people.
Yeah.
I always think, man, someday I want to involve with something like learning kitchen, and we were teaching people too,
Yeah.
right? Like with the
Yeah.
helper there, like they were learning. I still remember the first day I was in there. That's another story now.
I
I
worked
was
there with James Henderson too. James was great at that job.
Oh, James is
He's the one.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He showed me around there. Yeah.
And remember that day, first day I come in, I have a cleaver there, and I scare the hell out of everybody cutting those onions.
Yeah. Yeah. And you
Like
got to make those meals with 20 people. I can't even remember how many students we had. 20 people that had never held a knife before.
it's kind of funny. I would never forget what you said to me. The guys actually call you over, like Jamie, look at him cutting those stuff. You said, "Oh, those Chinese chefs, they born with knives in their hands." That's what you said, and I'll never forget that. But it's a little memories of us, like first time we really much worked for we're gonna for the same kitchen. But let's go to the next stage. I think that's a little too much side topic now, and let's say water and bone, CODA, and
Mhm.
then the big deal, drift. I was
Yeah.
shocked when you told me that. I was one of the
Yeah.
first one to hear from you about it,
Yeah.
and I know it before a lot of people. But man, what a job you got there, man.
Yeah. It's a big job. Yeah. It's still a big job. But yeah. That's one place where I used to read every single review for my restaurants. But it wasn't like it wasn't overall, none of it was helping, but I had to do it. I had to read just to reply, take the feedback and reply. I got to drift and I was like, I'm not reading a review because I know what it's like to open a restaurant. I'm not going to read
I stopped
one
reading it.
review. It's like we have months of a lot of work to do. It's not worth like taking your head out of the game.
No, not at all.
So, yeah, yeah, it was a big job. That was a really great opportunity. It still is a really great opportunity. Um, I expected to be there for a long time, but I was offered another opportunity that was perfect for my family, and I took that. But
All right,
yeah,
I'm gonna try to make Jamie cry now.
cry. That's not hard.
I've been telling everybody. I've been telling everybody as a friend. Every man should learn from Jamie. Every man should learn from him because he gave up. I'm getting emotional now. God damn it! But he gave up the biggest job for his career, and I know deep down it was only one reason. Yes, there's a job offer there, that opportunity, but he gave. I can tell right now, 99% of the men would like, I'm just gonna go, right? But Jamie sit back
Yeah,
and give that up for his kids.
yeah,
And that's why I say every man should learn from my friend here because he is bigger man than anyone I know that give up one of the biggest job that he could. And imagine all those restaurants, three out of them land in top 100 in top restaurant in Canada this year.
yeah.
He
Good for
should be
them.
the
That's
one.
so
He should be
awesome.
the
Yeah.
one taking all the glory. No,
No,
he
there's a lot of
he
people that
went to
work there.
NSCC just because he wanted to look out for his kids. That is the biggest heart that any man can learn from.
Well,
Kudos to you, brother.
put it this way: the job offer that I got that I can't say no to is being a dad to my kids. That's the biggest job offer that I would never say no to. That's the job I've been dreaming of. That's the job I love to do. So that's the one that I wouldn't say no to.
Most people still will kind of
Nice try.
juggle. Well, I mean, it's you know how I am. You know how I don't have filter, Jamie. I'll tell you how it is, and that's what I've been telling everybody. How they should look at you as a person. And it's I don't think. I mean, you can ask my wife next time you see her. I don't think my wife think I will give up for that.
Well,
Okay.
you like it's different when you're raising two kids as a single father. It's way different. Having a partner and having help, it's the same as a restaurant. It's the
Oh yeah.
teamwork, right? You guys
Hmm.
work together on both ends. You have a business at home and you have a business in the business, so you guys share the responsibilities and you share the work.
Hmm.
And that's such a wicked dynamic to have. But yeah, like being a single dad, I had to make the choices of like, okay, what can I manage? Like the hard choices of like, what can I manage on my own? Like what am I capable of doing? It's
Cheers
such a
to you,
great team
brother.
of
Really, kudos to your heart.
there's such a great team of people that drift from everyone from the top down. Or not just drift, but freehand and Oliver and Bonacini from Anthony Walsh to like Stephen Kwan, and then all the sous chefs that work there. Like like those guys would do
Yeah, some pretty
anything
good
to make
guys.
sure that I got days off for my kids and my weekends off, or if this one, like you get a phone call, it's like, okay, they're sick at daycare and you got to pick them up. Like at the drop of a hat, these guys were there for me. But you cannot shake the feeling as a chef that you're letting the team down when you have to leave early, when you have to do that, which is such a shitty way to think. You're like, oh, I have to go pick up my kids and be a dad, but then I have the guilt of leaving the restaurant and leaving your other family, your team of friends and colleagues, and you have the guilt of letting them down. But that's a shitty way that we are wired sometimes when it comes to working in the business and being chefs. But yeah, so
It's a
like
great
I
time to
owe those
manage
guys a
that.
lot. Like being
Hmm.
able to work there for with those people in such a big job. Like it's not, it's anybody who's a hotel chef knows how big hotel chef jobs are.
Oh man, I hate it. I used to
There's no
hate it.
stop. There's no end to it.
No.
It's three services a day minimum that don't stop 365 days a year plus room service and late night. Like what there's no end to it. It's basically a 24-hour day a job. So like having the right people around you, surrounding yourself by the right team, from sous chefs, and it goes all the way down to Kirby and Felix doing the dishes. Like, that's support from the top down. You have to have it with each other and all the way around.
But
There was days
obviously,
like I loved coming in early and working right till late, just to make sure I was doing breakfast and brunch with the breakfast and brunch. I loved working with those guys. And then right into a dinner service into the dining room. Probably looked like a strung out piece of shit walking through the dining room with bags under my eyes. But anyway, yeah.
no, I mean everyone should know how big on a man you are, man. Like, wow, you are a big guy, you're tall, but on the other hand, it's kind of like, you have a big heart, man. I don't know what else to say about that, but I really much want to
I
everybody
appreciate
watching this will know you're not only a good chef, like you have a chef with a lot of heart that even for your own family and I mean, like you look at people do what we do, like how much suffer, and how many chefs I know, like this kind of because of the work hours and how hectic it is, and you start forgetting about things happening around you. But you did not, like you devote what you believe in, to take care of your kids. And well, guys, I failed today. I tried to get him cry, but it didn't work. That's all right.
Well, and
That's all right.
yeah, nice try. And I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
No, no.
It
Hey,
means a lot to me.
it's the same thing with me, man. I mean, like,
I'm all cried out. I watched Wall-E last night, so I'm all cried out.
but you know what I'm saying though, like a lot of people doesn't realize why I started the restaurant. I could have still stayed at hotels. I
Yeah,
could have still stayed at franchise. There will be a lot easier for me.
yeah.
But
Steady salary,
yeah,
benefits.
and I would love to have that right now, right? Like what I went through in the past 3 years. But the whole reason we started a restaurant is because my wife got pregnant,
Yeah,
and I used to hate it. Well, I cannot name who, but I used to hate it when on franchise some days it's kind of like I still remember there was one nasty snowstorm 10 years ago. I had to go to Diamond Crossing. I don't know the name, but I was one of the head chefs, and then I was stuck in the road, like at the Windsor Exchange there. My little Infinity cannot go up, like by the lights. I was stuck there.
yeah,
It was so icy that day. The whole city was shut down. I
yeah.
I called the
But you're still
GM.
going.
Yeah, I called the GM and said, "Dude, man, I'm stuck here. I'm not moving." I just called a tow truck. I don't think I can make it to work. Nope, because you're on salary, dude. You got your tow truck. Tow your car to the restaurant. He literally asked me to
Classy.
tow my car to the freaking restaurant. I went in. It was two-person there. Um, it was Mackenzie there, Mackenzie Adams there, Mackenzie whatever. Sorry if you're watching, but she was there, just me and her. It was a dead day anyway, so we end up spending a whole day scrub the whole kitchen down, like knowing me. But
Yeah,
but that's when I really first hated. Like, like there is ice storm that when I was at Hilton, it took me 3 hours to go to the Hilton.
oh, at the airport. Yeah,
Yeah, like it's
yeah,
okay. What if I have something I need for my kids that I'm stuck into stuff like that, risking losing my job?
yeah,
And that's that turn around. Yeah, like it's my own business. I can control my hours, and that's the way it's supposed to be. And and trust me, if I have a choice right now, I'll probably go back to the hotel and franchise. At least I don't have to worry about it. I have my holidays. I don't have to, worry about stuff twenty
yeah,
four seven. Um, but on the other hand, having a restaurant was able to help me do what I wanted to do, like with the competition and all that stuff. So I was living my dream for a while, just because I was able to do whatever the heck I want to do, whatever the heck I want to try, and you know how crazy I am.
Yeah.
But there's a pros and cons, I guess. But
Yeah, there's some places it's a shame that there's, not better uniformity or balance in the industry because there's a lot of assholes out there. There's a lot of asshole chefs, general managers. It's too bad. Like my experience at Drift, I guarantee you, if I called in and it was a snowstorm, Marco or Steven would be like, "I'll call you the tow truck and pay for it and get you home." Like go home, like
yeah,
for the day.
no, I
It's
was I was
it's a
told
different
tow your car
mentality.
here to the restaurant,
Yeah,
right? So it was like,
I
ugh.
hope that guy's not in the business anymore.
Last time I heard a few years ago, he's actually out west now. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
good, good
but
riddance
but it's crazy, man. Like
to
when you work a
whoever
big
you are.
franchise, right? It was, but that really woke me up. Is like, okay, if if my wife's pregnant, my wife gets sick, kids get sick, I may be stranded,
Yeah,
right? So nope, nope, gotta stop working with franchise, and that was it. That was it for me. I just couldn't. Um, of course, I would. There's times I was like, well, you know what? I would like to be in franchise right now because I can get some holidays. you know,
yeah,
Not
but
only a restaurant, right?
lucky for us, because what you do, like the food you cook and the way you're doing it, and you to be able to cook your food, yeah,
Yeah.
we would all miss out on that. So, yeah, kudos to you for doing
Yeah.
it, like taking the chance and doing it the same way.
Well, I mean, doing real Chinese food in Halifax. My God.
Yeah, but all those chefs and the chefs that come and eat at your place, like that's what we want. That's what we want to see, and that's what we love. And we love when you cook like that. Like that's what like we get right. Like I don't know, I don't know. It's PG, right? We get turned on by that stuff. Chefs, when we know that someone's cooking like their food from their story, but specific too, like specific to their story,
hmm
not just trying to please people or being
Nope.
generic
You
and
know how
across
I
the
am.
board.
I don't care. Like, like I would
It's
not put out
authentic
food
that
I
way.
don't think is good, right? Like, but
It's like
everything will
chefs can,
represent me.
well, it's like chefs can, we can all sniff out authenticity,
hmm
and we see it, and that's what we crave to eat at. And those are the only places I want to eat at. I don't want to eat at, I don't want to eat multi-course fine dining tasting menus anymore because it doesn't come off as authentic to me anymore.
You didn't show up to my last one. Okay, I know why now. All right.
Well, sorry, not your tasting menus. The other guy's tasting menus. Like, the Alineias and I don't want to spend the $900 on something like that. I'd rather, go to 10 places in a big city. If I went to Chicago, I would go to 10 places. I would go to
hmm
some ramen places. I would go to, I'd spend that $900 on a food tour, not one sit down tasting menu.
it's
I'd
like the
spend more than
tasting menu.
$900.
The tasting menu right now is just me playing. I don't know if you get a chance to look at the stuff I was doing. I just play like with the stuff I want to play with, and so far people loving it,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
it's
know.
amazing. Yeah.
I'm just different, crazy different, I guess. And
Crazy
it's
different. That's
I
what you
don't know.
should put out. You should put out on your branding or on your
Yeah,
business cards. Crazy
yeah,
different.
yeah. That could work. But anyway, well, so how are you enjoying your life being a teacher right now,
Oh,
teaching young chefs?
it's really like I taught a little bit. Well, the Learning Kitchen, so I had some teaching experience, but it's
hmm
not the same.
Yeah.
And then I worked at VCC part time.
hmm
So it's something that I knew that I always wanted to do, and everybody there at the school have been like really great colleagues in the industry and friends. I've known Thomas for a long time, like you have.
Hmm.
So it's something I've always hoped would be available at some point, and then I got lucky. The opportunity came up, and I was not going to let it pass me by.
Yeah.
So I went
I
and
have
I
to
got it.
say, they have a really unique crew there. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I probably should not bring it up and probably piss somebody off, but and
Who are you going to piss off? I don't know what you're going to say.
I think Jonathan Canning. I don't know if Jonathan was watching, but with
I'll
all
show it to
those chefs that I work with, that I have experience with,
him. He's a talent. Yeah,
he is a freaking mastermind with cooking.
he is. Yeah, yeah,
Like like I tell everybody, like if you're looking for a mastermind of cooking, man, Jonathan just scared the crap out of me.
yeah. He's such a natural cook, and he's so good. Yeah,
Like you see him with a knives and the way he moves around and when he's plating, man, it's a show. It's an art form to watch Jonathan Canning cook.
yeah.
Like I'm serious. Like but that's how I feel about Jonathan and is
Well,
he is definitely one of the best one I ever encountered.
they all are like Thomas and Barry. Like there's so elite. Like there's so many really great talents there, and it's
Yeah.
it's really great
And
to work with
you
them
don't leave
because
yourself out.
I'm just lucky to be there in the group. It's really great because it becomes an environment of because it's not the same as working in a kitchen with sous chefs and colleagues where you're working to get through a service or to prep. Maybe you're planning a few menus, but this is constant, consistent, challenging each other and
Yeah.
working better and working. It becomes a little bit competitive, which I love the competitive edge to it.
How are
And you're
you guys
challenging
being
one each other.
competitive in there? I would.
Right?
I don't
On
know,
any
man.
on anything. Who can take the least amount of bathroom breaks? I don't know. Anything. Everything becomes a competition.
I don't know, man. I would never dare to challenge Jonathan. I really like. I have no problem to admit that. Anyone else, I probably won't. You won't scare of them. But I tell
Well,
you, when
I
it.
mean, challenging like pushing each other
Okay,
to just
okay, okay, okay. Cooking wise, I was like,
cooking. Yeah,
I would.
pushing,
I
not
wouldn't.
challenging like that. That sucks. Well, that's part of it too. Like straight up calling each other out and being like, "Yeah, what you did
Uh-huh,
there is not. It's not great.
uh-huh.
Like, do better. You can do better,
Yeah,
and you can. We
I
can always do better."
I think the world of Jonathan, like what he capable of, and how he come up with things is in an instant. Like he just blew me away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but anyway, well, NSCC is good. So
I don't know if
so
you've ever watched The Wire, the quote from The Wire.
no,
He's real police. Jonathan's real. He's a real chef. He's a real cook.
it
Anyway,
is.
that's a deep cut.
I don't know about that, man.
He's
He's just
real
good,
police.
man. I'm not gonna comment on that. But actually, last time I talked to Jonathan was my God, like 3 months ago. He was
Yeah.
like, "TJ, want to come in and use your walk?" I was like, "Just just tell me when on a Monday."
No, we all do. We're all going. You're gonna have us all in.
Hey, Jonathan
We're
had
gonna
been
come.
talking about it for a year now.
No, it's gonna
You
happen.
go tell him tomorrow. I just said it in proper now. He had been
I'll
talking
just
about it
show
for
him
the
this.
whole damn year. Okay, I've been waiting for him to call me. It's always there, man. Like, hey, that the whole thing is he was talking about maybe you, me, TJ, Barry. We're gonna come in one night and just leave the kitchen door open and start cooking. I love that. I think it's gonna be some fireworks with all of us in my kitchen.
Oh yeah, we start slamming Tsing Taos. Things are gonna get messy.
Oh, I don't care. But I've been waiting for it for so long, and I know how he is with the kids and the sports and everything in the summer. How he goes away and hide for the summer and stuff like that. But I tell him I'm still waiting
Yes.
for him to show up and call me and say, hey, you know what, the boys coming in when and when, and
We'll get
let's
something
get to.
organized. If it's September too, and we're back in September, we can organize
See,
something.
last time he
It's
was
gonna
talking
wait for the
about the
summer.
school ends, then you guys will have time, right?
They
So
just he just did skills. They went off to skills and they
yeah,
won.
I know
Or
you guys won. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So like
a young
kudos to
girl
that.
too. That was it
Yeah,
was yeah.
Liv. She's a talent. She works at Bar Kismet right now, and she's gonna do great things.
Oh, she's worked there now. Okay,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
tells
she's
you
good.
something.
Yeah, so Jonathan coached her to nationals, and she won nationals. So they'll go to worlds now. So he's busy with that.
Oh
So
yeah,
I don't
oh
wanna.
yeah. He's see the whole thing with Jonathan. I don't know how he does it, but he never want to take any glory how good he is. Right? Like he is so down to earth, and he would never take credit. Like I don't know. I don't want to keep talking about Jonathan now. Like everybody knows how I love the man, how I respect the man. It's
Let's
just
just say he always runs at a 96%.
really only.
Yeah, I'm just teasing.
So one of the questions that I ask every guest every week: Who do you want? Who do you locally you want to do collabs with? Do not say me, please.
Well, we just talked about it. You and I were supposed to do. We were gonna do a ramen at one point.
Yeah,
I wanted to do a duck ramen with you. We had planned it. We just never got around to it. And then,
you guys
but
just
we
would
still
not
do it.
keep the damn eye off my duck.
So we need to do duck. So that's still on the. That has to happen. That can't not happen. So we can do a pop up. We can do that.
I'll do it.
I've done a lot of pop ups lately.
Hmm.
I was done 5 or 6,
Hmm.
and they've been great. The last one I did was that field guide with Natalie Rawson, and it
Hmm.
was great.
Yeah, I see
It
the
was great
picture.
to work with Natalie. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, she's a really big talent.
Uh-huh.
So that was really fun.
Yeah, sometimes I kind of get jelly because he do all those pop up, but he never asked me. So it's kind of feel weird about it. Like how
I
much of
did
friends
ask
we
you.
are.
We were supposed to do a duck one,
Well, I don't
but I'm
know.
gonna I'm gonna take a break for a bit on doing pop ups
Yeah,
until I've got one planned with Jason Lynch for cumin. That'll be in the
okay,
Valley or in
okay,
Kentville. Cumin's in
okay.
Kentville.
Jason's so busy right now. My God, another one
Yeah,
in
we decided to
Newfoundland.
push it till after the summer. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
got so many restaurants opening
yeah.
in the Valley in Newfoundland. So yeah,
Uh-huh.
he's a great guy. He's a great guy
Oh,
to work
he's
with.
just a nice guy. He's just a hand down nice
Yeah,
guy. But
yeah.
so yeah. So if anyone really want to see our duck ramen, harass
Let's do
Jamie
it.
now. I'm
Yeah.
always available, man. I mean, hey, I was I was out of duck for 9 months.
Really? Just
Yeah,
sold out? You mean like you just sold out
because
or
because
supply?
Groom Lake had the flu,
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and
yeah,
I tried 4 different type of ducks doing that, and I probably went for about 40 to 50 ducks.
yeah.
I cannot find one that come out the same. So I end up stop selling it for good 4 months. You know how I am. I was like, no, I'm not selling it. If it's not gonna be as good, screw that. I rather not selling it. And people were getting really angry.
Yeah.
But no, and they are back in production again, and I'm getting the top grade duck from Broomneck
Probably.
again,
Yeah.
and
Good.
but no, that's duck now. So I know, like my duck is. I have to brag. My duck is really different. Like hey, but there's a lot of my blood and soul in there, bud.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny. Okay, this is gonna be really
Let's
bad.
we'll put your duck on my noodles. It'll just be a blood and
Oh
soul
my God,
dish.
yeah, I cannot wait.
Just be
Hey,
blood and guts. That's what we'll call it.
blood and guts. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
It's not
Let's
as
do it.
appetizing.
Yeah,
Blood and guts.
yeah,
Heart and soul.
yeah. Blood and gut pop up. Oh my God, that sounds so good.
Just do it. People will think it's going to be awful, and yeah,
Like probably gonna be like duck liver everywhere, and feet and stuff like that. So
We did a blood ramen once. I did a heavy metal ramen. It was squid ink noodles with blood sausage.
yeah, I
Um,
remember that. I remember that. I remember the picture.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think it was for Halloween. That was the whole point. But
But wow, anything else you would like to tell the audience about your journey right now, brother?
no,
Having
not much. So thanks for listening.
yeah.
Still gonna do pop-ups, and noodle kits are gonna start coming back out.
Oh, Ludo kids. Oh, people will be happy to hear that.
Yeah, next month I'm gonna start noodle kits again.
You know
Uh,
what? He never sent one to me, right?
I'm gonna sell them out of the Orient
Hey, you know what?
display fridge.
You can, you can use me as a pickup spot anytime. I'm serious.
Yeah,
I think I told you that. Like like
I live in Bedford now. I'm just down the road, so
yeah. So I mean, like like you can use me as a pickup spot. Like I don't care. I don't care. Like you know me better than that. But no, Jamie. Like really, thanks everyone to turning in tonight. I hope you enjoy the little lecture of how to make ramen and
we're gonna keep talking about wrestling when we're logged off, right?
sure. Man, God, like it may be my day off tomorrow, but I'm not gonna be sleeping. You want to talk about wrestling for a while, but no, thanks for everybody. Thanks Jamie to joining us tonight. I hope everybody
Thank you.
enjoy the evening. Um, I hope people start to understand a lot of those simple food. It's not as easy as people think. I really think there's a misconception about ramen. They pick up all the instant stuff and put in the water, and they think oh yeah, there's a ramen there. No, and look for Jamie's pop up. You want to try some real stuff? Well, no. I gotta rephrase that. Look for our pop up,
Yeah,
so you can experience your noodle and my duck. How
I
does that
fed
sound?
I fed. You're gonna love this. I fed instant noodles to my kids for the first time not too long ago, but I didn't tell them they were having instant ramen. I just gave it to them, and my daughter was like, "Daddy, you still make the best noodles." I was like, "Oh my god." I was like, "That's a pretty big compliment because they put a lot of research and money into those instant noodles." So
Okay, now
if
I'm gonna
mine are hitting
start
that
that joke
level,
now. My daughter is gonna turn 8 next week, and everybody know how much I hate those damn egg rolls.
yeah,
I
love your
refuse.
egg
I refuse to feed my kids those egg rolls, which
Yeah,
99% of people say those are the best egg rolls they ever have in their lives.
yeah,
My daughter had her first one about 3 weeks ago. She had been bugging me for egg rolls.
yeah,
Oh, trust me, driving me nuts.
yeah.
It just, I don't know, man. It's just, a lot of people won't believe if I have a choice to get rid of one thing on the menu, that would be the first thing I would.
The egg rolls.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
I can
you
never.
gotta kill your darlings. You have to do it.
No, I was
It's
talking to Chef
important.
Land like 2 months ago, talking about brand new menu, right?
Yeah,
And and Joanne was sitting there listening to me and him just going at it, and then I was like, Chef, like I gotta do high end, like I gotta do this, that's gone, that generic thing gone, and then after the conversation about 15 minutes, Joanne looked at me with a really cold-hearted look on her face.
yeah.
My egg roll's not disappearing, right? That's what.
So when you
That's
just
what
lie, you're like, no, it's not going anywhere.
I would never able to do it. I can tell you right now. I have customer already tell me they're not gonna come without the freaking egg rolls. They're good.
We we had a curry ramen on the menu that was like coconut curry base. It was basically cow soy, but
Mm.
uh, and it was but it's not cow soy. So I hated it because I'm like, this is not ramen. It's not cow soy. I'm like,
Probably your
why do
best
we have it
seller.
on there? Yeah, it was one of the best. And like I just like we Shane and I hated it on the menu, so we took it off. And man, it was like people were gonna kill us. Like I still get messages like, man, I love that ramen. Like, oh, we hated it. Like it tasted good. It's great, and that cow soy that Dennis makes that it was based off is
Mm,
phenomenal.
mm.
But yeah, it's not. It wasn't ramen. It was just. It was one of those we needed a dish to. So it was a easy execution, and it checked the boxes, and it tasted good. But
But
then
back
after
to
a
it,
while,
and like we are our worst enemy. We are our
yeah,
worst enemy. Like how you and me are. I cannot speak for everybody. Just how much urge that you and me have about improving instantly. We make we make ourselves suffer. I have no
yeah,
problem to say that. I made myself suffer constantly every minute because as soon
yeah,
as my brain shut down, I never shut down. This is the wrong word, but as soon as I don't have anything to think about, I start my mind thinking about my whole menu. What can I do better every single plate? It's a vicious cycle in my head. Okay, how am I going to improve this? How am I going to
yeah,
improve this? But
yeah.
I will never think about the egg rolls.
That's why it's nice to just start over blank slate,
Yeah,
start over from scratch.
I
I'm not
might do
telling you to
that.
do that. Keep the egg rolls in it. I love your egg rolls too.
Oh, Jamie, you have to give me a stab right at the end. Keep the egg roll. My God. So
I've had
so
your egg
so
roll.
so so we are
Just
gonna.
drive in the car eating your egg rolls.
I know, but it's kind of like so we're gonna serve that ramen at our pop up
Yeah.
that you hate so
Oh yeah.
much. All right.
No, 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 no. We're gonna do duck ramen. And then we'll do egg roll ramen then if you want.
Oh God, here we go. So, anyway,
Yeah.
thanks, brother. And
Yeah. Thank you.
so we're gonna tell everybody who are we gonna have on the next episode. I'm taking next week off. We're gonna have Amy doing it the next episode. I'm taking next week off. A lot of people know Amy from Kasuni. So the whole thing is flow, right? Like so I have Jamie here talk about ramen, and next time we will have a Japanese chef talk about Japanese food. So pretty much like
It's the best.
like it's gonna be in 2 weeks, and we're gonna have Mamie here next week. I'm taking a few days off to spend some time with my girls and stuff like that. So we kind of family day next week because my daughter's birthday is next Thursday, and so we're gonna take a few days off, spend some time with her. So no show next week, but then we're gonna spend some time with Amy possibly, and we have been touch base about everything. So thanks again for everybody. We just going to be thanks Jamie. I hope you have fun
Thank you.
tonight, brother,
I did. Yeah.
and
Thank you, man.
and
Always love talking
thanks
to
for
you.
everybody for watching. And we are gonna go off air soon. Just 1 second. Good night, guys. Good night, everybody.